All right, A34, I'm going to do example number 5. So there's a picture of it right there, and I'm going to graph negative 3x plus 4y is equal to 12 by finding the x and the y intercept. So in this case here, let's go ahead and take a look at this one. So if I'm looking for an x-intercept, so let me go ahead and, if I'm looking for my x-intercept, I'm going to go ahead and draw my x-intercept. So it's going to be on this line here. There is my x-axis. So if you notice on any point on that x-axis, here, let me draw the y-axis as well. So here's my y-axis right here. Okay, so now on any point on my x-axis, any point here, join, or if I choose this point, join way over there, this point there is 4, 0. This point right there is negative 3, 0. You'll notice that any of the y coordinates are always, yes, you guessed it, 0. So if I'm looking for my x-intercept, I'm going to go ahead and set my y's in the equation equal to 0. So I start with negative 3x plus 4y equals 12. I'm going to say negative x plus 4, and then for y, I'm going to replace it with a 0. And that's going to be equal to 12. And now I'm simply going to go ahead and I'm going to simplify this equation. So that gives me negative 3x plus 0 is equal to 12. And that gives me negative 3x is equal to 12. And therefore x is equal to negative 4. So my y-intercept is going to be right here. And that point is going to be negative 4, 0. Now you'll notice if I plug that into the equation, negative 3 times negative 4 plus 4 times 0 is equal to 12. So if I plug that x and that y value in, I get my equation that I want. Okay, so there's my x-intercept. Now I'm going to do the same thing, except this time I'm going to solve this equation for y. So once again, crab apple's wrong color. Any point on this line right here is going to give me, if I choose this point way up here, that point up there, the coordinates for that point are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, 6. And then if I chose this one way down here, at the very bottom of this here, I'm going to have the point 0, negative 3. So anywhere on my y-axis here, right, my x-coordinate is 0. So I went over here and did that. I plugged for 0. For x, I plugged in 0 because I know it has to be, the x-coordinate has to be 0 on my y-axis. So if I go ahead and solve this equation, negative 3 times 0, of course, is 0, plus 4y is equal to 12. Therefore, y is equal to 3. And my y-intercept is equal to negative 3. So if I go down, it's equal to positive 3. So if I come up here to 1, 2, 3, there it is. Very pretty. And the coordinates of that point are 0, 3. I connect those dots, and there is my line. And I end up, and if I was to plug 0, 3 into that equation, you'd see that it worked as well. So if I have, we'll do it up here, negative 3x plus 4y is equal to 12. So I'm going to plug in the point 0, positive 3, if I keep saying negative. So that gives me negative 3 times 0 plus 4 times 3 is equal to 12. And you can see that I get 12 is equal to 12, and that's a true statement. Therefore, the point 0, 3 has to lie on my graph, and there's the first one. All right, so I'm going to take, this is number 17 from A34, and I'm going to write this equation in standard form. As it's written, it is in y-intercept, slope-intercept form. So this is the same thing as saying y is equal to negative 1/5 x plus 2/5. So hopefully you notice that the y-intercept is 2/5. So my y-intercept is 2/5. and my slope is a negative 1/5. So that would be a little bit hard to graph because sometimes it's hard to find the 2/5 on a graph. So let's go ahead and change this so we get rid of all our fractions. So I'm going to take this entire equation here, and I'm going to take this equation and I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 5. Now 5 here, right, would be my least common denominator. So if I wanted to add everybody together, right, you know, I'd notice that 5 is my least common denominator. So when I do that, I'm going to get 5 times y is equal to 5, let's go do it this way, times negative 1/5 x plus 5 times 2/5. Well, if it helps, I can write my 5/1 here. And you can see when all is said and done, I get 5y is equal to, and then this is going to give me a negative 5 if I multiply my numerators, and then if I multiply my denominators, I get 5/5x plus, and then this one gives me 10/5. And I can rewrite that as negative x because I have negative 5/5, which is a negative 1, times x gives me a negative x plus, and then 10/5 is 2. So that would be my equation. So let's go ahead and move this on to a new screen because I wrote way too big. So we ended that last one saying that 5y was equal to negative 1x plus 2. This still isn't in standard form because I have to move my x over to the other side of the equation. So I'm going to add a 1x to both sides of the equation, and that's going to give me 1x plus 5y is equal to 2. And now that equation, x, what happened? That equation, x plus 5y equals 2 is in standard form. And that's the end of that one. All right, guys, we're done. You can go ahead and call it a night. I will see you guys tomorrow.